So we're kind of a jack of all trades, and we fall back on enforcing the laws, but we're expected to do so much more.
Sure.
And so we try to promote those things here at the Academy as well.
The award-winning Tennessee WildCast is on the air with the latest on hunting, fishing, boating, wildlife watching, and all things outdoors. Make welcome your host, drummer and outdoor expert novice, Jason Harmon.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Tennessee WildCast. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching and listening. We're going to have a fun show for you today. It's going to be action-packed. We got the folks that lead the Tennessee Wildlife Officer Training Academy here with us today, and we're in their classroom, so it's going to be a fun show, Don.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun.
I'm excited to have them. We'll get to them in just a minute, but first I want to, as always, highlight a radio station.
And new to the family, we've got WMCH 1260 AM, and that's up in the Churchill area, up in East Tennessee. So Rogersville, Bristol, covering that area up in there. So we are so glad to have them along, and you can catch them on the way to church on Friday or on Wednesday nights, 5:30 to 6 is when the show airs there, and then again at 7:30. The extras air every day at 7:30 a.m. So,
awesome.
So that we appreciate them so much. And,
you can find that list of radio stations on our website. That's what you're looking at right now.
That's right.
23 stations now across the state. I guess it's safe to say we're from Bristol to Memphis now.
Heck yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So that's awesome to be on that many stations all the way across the state, AM, FM stations. We appreciate them.
That's right. We really appreciate them helping us get the word out.
Yeah, get the word out. While we're doing public service announcements, don't forget the e-store to pick up swag, TWRA swag. There's some new hats coming down the line, and there's always
new stuff.
Always new stuff there. So check that out, and that's at shop.gooutdoorstennessee.com. And if you want to get your license, which we encourage you to do so and get outside, that's gooutdoorstennessee.com to buy your license.
That's right. Sooner the better now. Hey, 365 days.
That's right.
Thing's good for, so.
Good reminder. When it doesn't matter when you buy it now, it's going to last 365 days from the date of purchase.
That's great.
So, awesome. Well, let's get into it. Introduce Captain Andy Rush and Sergeant Dustin Deaton. Appreciate you guys being with us.
Pleasure.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Appreciate you having us in your office here.
Yeah, that's right.
At the Training Academy. So this is the classroom that we're in for the Tennessee Wildlife Officer Training Academy. Andy is the statewide law enforcement training coordinator, and then Dustin is the statewide training sergeant. So we appreciate you guys. I guess first off, let's jump in and introduce yourselves to the folks. So, Andy, I'll let you start. Tell us who you are, a little bit about yourself, and kind of how you've got to where you are now with the agency.
Yeah, sure.
Folks would love to hear it.
Again, my name's Andy Rush, and I've been with the agency since 2007, and I started out as a wildlife officer in Sumner County. My education was through the University of Tennessee in Knoxville. Had a 4-year degree in wildlife and fishery science and a minor in forestry. And I came on to TWRA in 2007. I was a Sumner County officer for 10 years. And in 2017, I was promoted to lieutenant for Region 2 at the Region 2 office.
All right.
And then I moved into this position as a training coordinator in 2019. So I've been at it a little over 3 years now, and we've put through 3 full classes here.
Yeah.
And we're in the preparations for our 4th right now.
All right.
Awesome. Well, a lot of our officers come from the University of Tennessee. It's a good school.
They do, yeah. That seems like either Tennessee Knoxville, Tennessee Martin, and Tennessee Tech are the predominant ones, and we get a few here and there from out of state, but those are the 3. It seems to fluctuate through every year.
So you came on to the agency about the time I started working with them. So I
I believe so. Yeah. Yes, sir.
That's cool. All right, Dustin, tell us about yourself.
I'm Dustin Deaton. I started TWRA in 2012. I was stationed in Dixon County. Went to Tennessee Tech, got a degree in wildlife and fishery science. everybody wants to be the game warden, right?
Yeah.
And my journey went through several different states. I did some time. I was in Texas, I was in Missouri, West Virginia, and then I got to come home back to Tennessee. Started in 2012 and started in Dixon, and I was in Dixon until June. Mm-hmm. Yeah, June. I got promoted to the sergeant over statewide training, really helping to run the day-to-day stuff here at the academy, as well as the law enforcement stuff that's we have going on right now. So like in-service things like that. And from there, it's just such a new experience. Mm-hmm. Going from the field to the training side, and it's just it's a blessing for me and my family, so I absolutely love it.
Awesome. So June 2021, I guess, is what.
Yes.
So you one county. That's strange. A lot of officers will jump, and move around a little bit, and you got locked into one place and stayed at home.
I was there for 9 years, and it's just like, well, it's a little bit of west, a little bit of middle, so it's pretty much where I needed to be.
Yeah, that's cool. That's awesome. Well, I'm going to leave these as open-ended questions, let you guys kind of jump in. But,
sure.
First I just want to educate the folks listening and watching about what the Academy is and kind of just a brief overview of what the Tennessee Wildlife Officer Training Academy is all about.
So in the past, officers for Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency would have to go to the Tennessee Law Enforcement Training Academy, TWOTA, which is in Donaldson. I believe I went for 10 weeks. It may be up to 12 now for people that are going through there.
And that's all law enforcement throughout the state?
Okay. Yes. And so that's a requirement to get your law enforcement commission. And in 2019, we started, we as in Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency, started our own academy, which we're at now at Buffalo Ridge Wildlife Refuge. And it is... originally, it was a 20-week academy, and now we've last year we increased it to a 23-week academy, which it'll be for this fourth class. And so it encompasses, we're really proud of it in the law enforcement division and just for the agency in general, because it really focuses in on what a game warden needs to train in to be a well-rounded game warden once they get out and go into the county that they're selected, or for wildlife managers that hold a commission as well. And so that was one thing that Colonel Ryder at the time, he wanted us to have a little bit more training for what our job entails, that he didn't think that they were getting specifically at TWOTA, which their training is fine training.
Right.
This is just catered to us a little bit more.
Now there were you training alongside police officers, potential
Yes, we
police
were.
officers and highway patrol folks? Maybe,
Well,
or
Highway
just-
Patrol has their own academy.
Oh, okay.
And most bigger metro areas have their own academy. And then for everybody else in the state, they go to Toledo.
I got you.
So if you're, at a smaller like Hendersonville or Gallatin or, Murfreesboro or any of the counties, they most likely are going to go to Toledo.
I got you.
And it was a lot bigger class there. I think, I don't know about you, but mine started out about 120 people.
I had about 115, and it ended up at about 80.
Yeah, and so our class size here is a lot smaller. It really just fluctuates onto what the hiring capacity is for that year. But we've had at the low class that graduated 8, and at the high class that graduated 16. And so, we start, and again, it's 23 weeks, start in June, get done, usually in November or December. And we go through everything that they need to know, starting off from knowing structure of the agency and how the agency works with our administrative directives, and moving through all the Tennessee laws that they need to know, especially focusing on Title 69 and 70, which are boating and wildlife.
Right.
And then we move through, any type of criminal law and all your Fourth Amendment, Sixth Amendment, and et cetera, through defensive tactics and firearms and EVOC, which is an emergency vehicle operations course. Do some pool work for officer water survival. We really try to touch on everything. It's listed as a basic academy, but I feel like we pack in quite a bit.
When I see the pictures and the videos that get shown at the graduation, which we usually cover with the multimedia side, and it's really interesting to hear the testimonies of the officers that are coming out of the academy and things they've learned, and I mean, just that the variety of photos and videos that I see of all the things they've gone through in that 23 weeks, man, that's a huge commitment.
It's a long time.
Yeah, I mean, and they live here on site.
Right.
And we're blessed to have the area we do. We're on this refuge where we can go out into the woods, set up scenarios, hunting scenarios, duck hunting scenarios, everything from deer, duck, bear. We can do everything here on site.
Right.
And we actually bring in instructors from all over the state who have specialties that, as a guy from Dixon, I didn't have a whole lot of bear hunting experience. So we bring officers and sergeants, supervisors in that have a lot of experience in that. Same with duck hunting. We'll bring the guys from West Tennessee in who are, that's their bread and butter. And honestly, a lot of times I get jealous because when I went through, you got a brief overview of this is what you get.
Right.
And then you had to go out into the world and, hey, this is what you got. And you had to learn from there.
Yeah.
They get a base of knowledge here that is, they get a taste of everything.
Yeah.
From walking up to a bait site to doing stops on the side of the road to everything. Where before, especially with the Toledo environment where you had 115, 100 people there, you maybe got one rep. Here, we just run them through so they get a lot of exposure because we have a small class, which is beneficial to them. And, man, they go out much more prepared, I feel, than I did when I started.
Right.
I mean, it's I'm sure that academy, it's great. I mean, it's the basic law enforcement training you needed. But for you guys, you didn't learn the wildlife side, the field stuff until going with your training officer, right? Into the field.
How about Fred School?
We did have Fred School. So that was like, it was, I was in the TWRA right before they made it 12 weeks. But that was just the brief, hey, these are the laws. You already got your basic stuff out of the way, but now here are the specific stuff to what we do.
Right.
But you didn't get the reps. That it was very specific. We did our firearms, we did our DT, we did all those things again, which we already did in Toledo. But the downside to it was we didn't have it. It wasn't all the time. Whereas you kind of had to turn a little bit of this off and turn this on. It was just kind of overwhelming at times where now this is us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and I think about a wildlife officer, they're driving a little bit different equipment. They're, you're dealing with a little bit different type of people. I mean, you're in the woods by yourself a lot of times, coming up on folks with guns and things. There's certain training things that you need to hone in on for you guys that maybe somebody on the streets doesn't have to deal with.
Yeah, exactly. The guys that we tell them from day one, guys, 90% of the people you're talking to either have a knife or a gun. I mean, that's what an outdoorsman have. That's the standard equipment, right?
And most of those guys are great guys.
No, they are.
All the ones you're going to come in contact with. Sportsmen are great.
In the 10 years I worked in the field, it was very rarely that you would ever have somebody that was not a happy camper. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
But knowing the dangers there that are a little bit different, but we handle ourselves differently than you'd say a standard field officer would or a road officer. Because, our best defense, and I tell these guys all the time, your best defense is talking to people. Why can't you just talk to people?
Yeah.
And we really press that here. It's all about personal relationships with landowners, hunters, fishermen of the state, and they're your best asset. And they will tell you where you need to go. Because they don't like poachers or people taking more than they're supposed to. They don't like them more than the law enforcement guys because they're taking their access
resource,
away.
Yeah.
Well, and once you guys get into your communities, I mean, you both were officers for a time, and you get to know those people, and you create those relationships with the county, and you start getting to know people, and it's, it's good. It's good. You're friends with everybody, and and you still gotta be that law guy. You gotta make sure they're obeying the rules and the laws. But it's a community, and I'd say it's fun.
Oh, it is. I do miss it.
Yeah.
But I do love the training side a lot as well. It's just one of those things.
Mm-hmm.
And just, when you were talking about getting out into the county, it transcends even just the law enforcement aspect of it for a county officer in particular, because, you're kind of like the local extension of TWRA in each county. And so you're in a lot of times, the first point of contact that people have for any type of question that has to do with the wildlife agency, regardless of if it's a poaching or fishing violation or a boating violation. And so, our officers are expected to be able to talk to the public and be able to converse on a regular basis, to build those relationships, not only for a law enforcement perspective, but just for that interaction in the community. I know for myself, I always enjoyed going to speak at Rotary clubs, speaking at schools especially. Enjoyed anytime I got invited to a career day through any of the numerous high schools or elementary schools in Sumner County. I rarely declined to make that appearance. I tried my best to go and try to promote the agency and speak to young people and show them, bring a bone box with furs and skulls and things like that.
Oh, yeah.
And so we're kind of a jack of all trades, and we fall back on enforcing the laws, but we're expected to do so much more.
Sure.
And so we try to promote those things here at the academy as well, and touch on the community aspect and being able to speak in front of people and how you interact, like Sergeant Deaton mentioned.
Yeah.
It's very important.
And speaking of career days, there's probably a lot of younger folks out there listening to this or watching it that are thinking, that's what I want to do. That's what I've always wanted to do. If you could boil it down to what kind of preparation does a young person need to be looking toward, in the way of education and experience to get themselves ready to maybe apply for an officer position? So
the base thing, and this is probably going to be the thing that takes the most time and effort on an individual's part, is completing that 4-year degree. And so that is a requirement that we have. Though we do have a secondary outlet for that if you have 10 years of experience, that you can also qualify to be a wildlife officer. So you could go through a wildlife technician avenue and get 10 years of experience and then apply, or get a 4-year degree. And that's going to be, again, most of the time, you get those students from Tennessee Knoxville, Tennessee Martin, Tennessee Tech. And that's because all of them have a dedicated wildlife department and major. And so a lot of your land grant universities in the United States are going to have those. And so if you get somebody from out of state, they're probably going to come from a land grant university as well. And so again, mine is in wildlife and fisheries science. And if you don't have that, you're going to have kind of almost a minor, so to speak, of wildlife and fishery science. If you come from, I know one officer, he went to MTSU, and they don't have those specific programs, and so he had to pull some other classes in together from different departments to make sure that they met the right qualifications.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And then I'd recommend any of them that are seriously interested in it when you're at one of those universities, to join the Wildlife Society,
right,
and to try to stay active as best that you can within the Wildlife Society and within your major, because there's a lot of opportunities that open up. And I know for myself, I did an internship my junior year and an internship my senior year. I worked for the University of Tennessee for a PhD candidate at the time, tracking elk. So I tried to do as much as I could to get my foot in the door.
That experience is so important, isn't it?
It is.
It really is.
I mean, that's basically why I went around the country to gain that experience. I graduated. I didn't make it in the first selection, first time I applied. And then that's why I ended up going to Texas at a ranch for a while. Then I went to Mingo National Wildlife Refuge, worked as a tech there, then got hired on with West Virginia DNR, building that experience, and then basically you're building this experience where they can't tell you no.
Right.
You have the degree, you have the experience. Here I am.
Yeah, yeah, that's good to know. So some folks that are in Tennessee that would love to work for TWRA, but just don't happen to have that experience or can't get into that class, try other states, get your experience around, and maybe you can come home.
Well, and that's one of those things that they tell you in school is, wildlife jobs are hard to come by unless you're willing to move. And now I wanted to stay in the South. That's where I've always been.
Right.
But I found position here. I found a position here. But
the goal was always to get back home.
Get back home where I belong.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, so someone who's got that degree, talk us what the process is to get through to the academy. Normally we hire around March. Is that what it is? The interview process starts around March or something like that?
That's correct. And I believe you'll want to go to TennesseeJobs.gov and fill out your application there. And there may be a part of the interview that's online. And then they'll invite you to, I believe, 2 in-person interviews.
First round, second round.
Yeah, first round, second round. And then those offers are usually made sometime in May, it seems like. I know this year our start date for the academy is June the 5th. So I'd imagine beginning of May they'd have those offers out because we normally have about a month buffer in between. So we got to process people and get people prepared to come in. And so I think that's about what we're looking at on the timeline this year.
Cool.
So March to May.
That's good. Yeah. So folks that are thinking about it and kids that are maybe in their sophomore, junior year in college, be thinking ahead, around March, when you get to that senior year. And we were talking before the show, even start preparing yourself because the academy is tough.
It is not easy. I will tell you this, you're not going to be out here running marathons, but you need to be in decent shape.
Yeah. You were talking about PT and the academic standards earlier.
Yeah, and the academic standards, we want an 80%. Anything below 80%, we're like, all right, what we need to work on that.
Yeah,
80% above, that's what we consider passing. Whether it's on the firing range, driving track, academic test, it's all the same. If you 80% or better.
Yeah.
And then your PT standards, be able to run.
Yeah.
I mean, push-ups, sit-ups, just basic fundamental movements, because when you're out by yourself, you may need to run. You may need to do some upper body strength, some lower body strength. These are the standards that we keep, and we want to set you up for success, mentally, physically. So when you go out into the world and you don't have somebody looking over your shoulder every day, you know what to do.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you've got a great facility for that part too.
We do.
Close by, just a few steps away from where we are right now. There's a nice gym.
There is. Or hey, you know what, guys? Take off running. We'll see you later.
Right.
Yeah, we do PT at least 4 days a week, usually from 5:30 a.m. to 6:30 a.m. And we expect people to. They have to pass a certain standard by the end of the 23 weeks. They're not necessarily expected to be able to pass it from the first day, but they are from the time that they leave. And so we've had 37 people, individuals that are officers in the state now, officers and managers that have graduated, and all 37 of them have been able to pass it by the end of the 6 months.
All right.
But they did have to work for it. And like Sergeant Deaton says, we don't give anybody anything here, and everybody has to earn what they get. And but if people put in the time and effort, anything that we have to offer here is certainly accomplishable and has been accomplished by the 37 graduates that we've had so far.
And getting back to those photos at graduation that I've seen, kind of the before and after, I've seen some pretty significant weight loss on some of the candidates.
We have had that before, yes.
It's amazing what happens when you get up every day and have to, get out there and get after it.
Right.
Several started with one size duty belt and one size pants, and had to finish with another size. And so that's a good problem.
Oh, yeah, that's a good thing.
Any of those officers that have had that happen, I told them, we'll take care of the uniform later. Just work on yourself and get in the best shape that you can. That's the most important thing, and we'll get you those new pants.
That's a good deal.
Yeah, that's fun. That's funny. It's like Don's mentioned, the graduation ceremonies. That's always cool to see those guys walk across the stage and complete that and finish that part. And it's rewarding, and families are there celebrating and congratulating them, and then they're off into the field with their training officer, right? Do you have an officer that goes with them for a year? Or?
So FTO, so your probationary period when you come with us would be a year long. So basically roughly half of that's going to be here.
Okay, yeah.
So the rest of that's going to be with what we call an FTO, a field training officer. And what that's going to look like is you will go to your area of assignment, so whatever region you go to, and there's going to be 3 sergeants that will be your FTOs. So these are experienced. These guys have been around. They know what to do. They know their job, and they know it well. So they ride around, and they kind of show you what to do, and then they kind of let you start taking the reins, and then finally they just stand back and watch.
Yeah.
And you're being evaluated the whole time. Hey, you did this really well, but look at this, or look at this. Just little pointers, just so their next encounter goes smoothly, goes great. We're out here to not only protect the wildlife, but we want everybody to enjoy, and we just have to train them to look at it like that.
Right.
That's cool. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. I mean, from start to finish, we've covered a lot of it today on how you become an officer in Tennessee and how you get through the academy. I think y'all have done a great job. You mentioned this is the 4th year. Will be the 4th year.
It is.
The 4th class to go through the new academy, and the facility's awesome. Y'all have done a great job getting it all together, and I know it's probably really special for those guys that come through, guys and gals that come through and complete it.
Yeah.
I think so, and it seems like they develop a lot of good camaraderie and friendships that, I'm hoping that'll last, the rest of their lifetimes and careers. We want to promote, those good things here. So,
Yep. Well, we didn't get into some of all the details and some more details behind the classroom and the stuff in the field, but it can be fun and challenging. And
absolutely.
Both can be. Those both things happen. I mean, driving trucks, driving boats, ATVs, working the field, and then running and PT and things. It's a mix. So if y'all are interested, be thinking about applying. Like I said, around March is when you do that, and then get through the interviews and head to the academy. So
that's right. We're waiting for you to be here.
Yeah.
I hope to see some of y'all.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Don, thank you.
Yeah, you bet. You bet, Jason. I've learned a lot this week.
I have too. Andy and Dustin, thank you guys. And this is Tennessee WildCast. Keep coming back, keep watching and listening, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for tuning in. Stay connected with TWRA by visiting our website at tnwildlife.org and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Hey, it's all about Tennessee wildlife. It's what we do. Tennessee WildCast will be on the air again next week. We'll see you then.